promises and hope. With Jesus' death, everything seemed lost. They wondered how the end had come so unexpectedly. They worried about what would happen to them. What were they supposed to do? Go back to their old way of life before they knew Jesus? And to add to their worries, the disciples were convinced that they were truly in danger. They were wanted by the temple leadership. They no longer had a home at the synagogue. The disciples were now displaced followers of the crucified Jesus. Who could blame them for locking themselves away? They were confused, worried, scared, sitting in a dark room, hiding in fear. But in the midst of all of this doubt and questioning, the disciples discovered that it's okay to ask questions. Questions are important. They are essential to our faith. Questions, rather than leading to doubt, can really lead to certainty. And that's what the disciples found out when they were locked away that night, when Jesus showed up. As the story goes, they were waiting and wondering, all except Thomas, who may have been the one bold enough to step outside that night. There's something else for us to remember, too. Perhaps Thomas was the only one of them who was willing to venture out from behind closed doors. Maybe even if it was only to run out for bread and milk. Who knows? Anyway, the rest of them continued their wondering and worrying, trying to figure out what to do next, when lo and behold, without any trumpet fanfares or shouts of hallelujah, Jesus appeared, quietly shining the light of resurrection into that dark doubt that filled the disciples' minds. He came to them, not because he needed them, but because they needed him. Jesus the Christ appeared not because they believed in him, but because Jesus believed in them. Even though the disciples had hidden away, the risen Christ could still find them. Jesus had come to restore them, to rekindle that spirit that had gone out of them. He was a breath of fresh air. He breathed new life into each one of them. In the midst of their questions, he stepped in and relieved their anxiety. Now, if you know anything about the Bible, you know that there are lots of gaps or empty parts to the stories, and this story is no exception. Now, we don't really know what happened next. All we're told is that suddenly an entire week has passed, and the disciples are still together in that same room. This time, Thomas is with them, and he's asking lots of questions. Thomas just can't quite believe it. As the others stumble and stammer out their story, Thomas has more and more questions. One question leads to another, and before long, Thomas declares that he just has to see Jesus for himself. And really, can you blame him? After all, what would any of us have done? Wouldn't we want to see for ourselves? And I don't think it was just Thomas who needed to see. I have a feeling the other disciples needed to be reassured as well. I think they still had questions but were reluctant to ask. Whatever, according to the story, Jesus came once more into their midst, showing Thomas his wounds, inviting Thomas to ask questions. Jesus doesn't get upset or angry with Thomas for asking questions. Indeed, Jesus encourages Thomas to check things out for himself. Go ahead, Thomas. Touch my side. Look at my hands. When Thomas's questions have been answered, Thomas declares Jesus to truly be God with them, right there, standing among them. And it only took a few words, just a simple phrase, peace be with you. And life changed for everyone in that room. Then they saw, then they knew for themselves that Jesus was not missing. He hadn't disappeared. He was there. with them, talking with them. They saw his hands and side, and they believed. Jesus brought them the gift of peace, peace of mind, reassurance that he would be with them in the depths of their doubts. He offered the gift of peaceful assurance that God's presence and God's love never end, and the disciples were overjoyed, filled with excitement. But Jesus had more to tell them. Seeing him wasn't the end of the story. He brought with him an assignment. He told them to get out there and live, to take a chance to tell others the good news. They couldn't stay locked up forever. The time had come to move on, begin to live again. Jesus was telling these frightened people to take a risk, a big risk. And that's what faith is all about. There is no faith. There's no believing without risking something of ourselves. If we profess to be followers of Christ, we have to be willing to stick our necks out, to live every day as though Christ is standing right here in the middle of this room, breathing the Spirit of life into us. Christ comes to us when we need Christ. Christ comes to us because Christ believes in us, and Christ invades the private space of our lives. Indeed, friends, Christ is an intruder, an invader. Christ's presence should invade us. The power of the resurrection, the joy of Easter, can't begin to have any significance for us until we are willing to risk the invasion of Christ. The invasion can be disturbing, disrupting, troubling, and shake our very souls. That's what the invasion of Christ is supposed to do. That was the message Christ brought to the disciples that night. Christ brought the gift of life, the gift of the Spirit of God. He made it very clear that the gift he brought couldn't stay locked up behind closed doors, even though it felt safer and more secure and more comfortable. Lessons for the disciples and for us is that God cannot be confined. God is not limited by any boundaries we try to impose. God's love has no limits. It's a forgiving grace offered freely to everyone. That was also part of Christ's message to the disciples. Christ reminded them that their mission was not just to share the good news, but to offer God's loving forgiveness to those who would hurt them. Perhaps Christ knew what lay ahead for these followers. Christ was aware of the dangers, the pain, the suffering every one of the disciples would endure. That Christ expected these followers of his to forgive those who would hurt them. Now that's a tough assignment, isn't it? It is. Forgive is indeed a risk of faith. A risk not many of us may be willing to take, but there it is. Christ, who invades our space, is standing here, breathing on us, offering us the gift of peace and love, but also expecting us to forgive just as God has forgiven us. Now, this is a story that happened before the virus took hold of us. You see, every Sunday morning, the people of a church in the Pacific Northwest would say, "Peace be with you." They began the worship service with a hymn of praise. The people confessed their sins together and heard of God's forgiveness. Then they were invited to turn to the other people around them and ask peace. Friends left their pews to embrace one another. Newcomers were warmly welcomed with a kind word or a hug. Nobody thought much about the weekly ritual until the pastor received a letter from a man who had recently joined the congregation. The new member was a young lawyer who worked for a prestigious law firm. He drafted a brief but pointed letter on his firm's letterhead. I'm writing to complain about the congregational ritual known as the passing of the peace, he wrote. I disagree with it both personally and professionally, and I am prepared to take legal action to cause this practice to cease. When the pastor phoned to talk with the lawyer about the letter, he asked why the man was so disturbed. The lawyer said, the passing of the peace is an invasion of my privacy. Now, maybe this story could only happen now in these troubling days when so many folks seem so eager to take legal action in order to resolve any kind of grievance. Indeed, there very well could have been those who would take their church to court if too many people shook their hands, or if neighbors were too friendly, or if a fellow pew sitter interrupted their private little religious moments. To that end, I think the pastor's response to the young lawyer was right on target. He said, like it or not, when you joined the church, you gave up some of your privacy, for we believe in a risen Christ who will never leave us alone. Then the pastor added, you never know when Jesus Christ will invade and intrude on us with a word of peace. May ours be a community of faithful believers who never doubt that Christ's invasion brings peaceful reassurance. May the gift of a risen Christ come to each of us in spite of all of our closed doors. May God grant us the joy and challenge of an invading Christ in our lives. May each one of you be blessed by Christ, who will never leave you alone. Peace be with you. Amen. And we have a sunny morning, well, sort of. And we're all safe and sound. Along with joys, we have concerns. Alice Tibby is in rehab in Galleon. She had another fall this week. So Let us come to God in prayer. Oh God, we always have questions even when we don't want to admit it. There are things with which we struggle, things that confuse us, things that make us wonder. Yet you are with us through all of that, not condemning, but continuing to love us. With all these doubts and questions on our minds, we come to you in prayer. Resurrecting God in a doubting world, keep us in faith that we may have life. We pray for the universal church. Breathe on us your Holy Spirit, that we may honor and pass on the great inheritance we have received. We pray for our earth, that we may touch her wounds with healing care and love. We pray for the whole world, its nations, its leaders, and its people, that your wisdom and peace may prevail. We pray for all those in need, the suffering, the oppressed, the ill, and all those who offer them loving care and support. We pray for ourselves, O God, our families, and those whom we love. Holy One, you have made known to us the ways of life and have promised to fill us with the gladness of your presence. Keep us mindful of your guidance and your promise as we travel through our days. Oh God, hear us now as we offer to you the prayer we have been taught to say together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive those. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Forgiveness and hope to all the world. Use us with our doubts and questions to proclaim the simple truth to all the world. Amen.